All right. Welcome back to another chit chat with me, the Black opinionated woman, also known as the Bo. That's me. Yeah, so I don't normally get a chance to come on early in the morning because my husband and I flip flop schedules for a while. But I am doing the bus stop drop off today. So normally I would have a short video, but I'm going to keep this one short and I will later recap um the last episode of And Just Like That. So let me go ahead. What I'm going to do right now is this is what we're going to talk about today. So one of the people who actually left the comments said that I should recap these writers room podcast. Now I'm going to be honest, this is the first one I've listened to. I don't know what they talk about because I didn't want to be um tainted by anything. But if you're new to my channel, I talk about three things. I talk about Black women, Black culture, and anything related to being middle aged. So that could be shows, that could be health, that could be my little hair situation. See, well, I was trying to do something. That could be raising children, any of those things. But okay, let's get right on into it. So look, if you came to my channel today, this is what you selected. Let me take this banner off. You selected this thumbnail. All right. Now look at this. Obviously, my face is saying it all. So what's going on is basically, well, maybe I should make it bigger. I just feel like it was one big love fest. Everyone just wanted to hug it out. There was a whole bunch of fawning over Michael Patrick King and this Samantha, I think her last name is Irby. I don't even think I like her. I think that's the black lady. I didn't even do that much research into it, to be honest. I think that's the black lady, the black writer, which drives me crazy because if you're going to get somebody to write about the black experience, yeah. So let's just say there's going to be a lot of you can miss me on that. Okay. So, but yeah, there was a whole bunch of we love you, Michael Patrick. Like I was just so kind of like grossed out by it, to be honest. Now I don't think everything that they discussed was all bad, but let me just get right on into it. First of all, let me tell you what I learned. Hurry up, honey. They mentioned something about treacle or something like that. A treacle cutter, basically, when something becomes too sweet or too syrupy, is the assumption I think I'm getting from that. So they always have somebody try to come in and cut that out. So I learned some new terminology. I could be a writer now. All right. So look, I don't know if you know this, but let me say this one more time. Samantha Irby, the writer, she loves Michael Patrick King. Oh, sorry. Turn that down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry, I was adding my other self in, but maybe I shouldn't. Okay. She loves Michael Patrick King. It was like, I love you, I love you. I was just so nervous. I couldn't get a chance. I couldn't wait to just next. There was a lot of nervous laughter, and I just got the impression that they were all out to try to impress Michael Patrick King. It was more focused on Michael Patrick King than just getting down to the business of what they were thinking when they were remaking or rebooting this. Now, let me see. So, if I heard correctly, there were no issues or fears with rebooting this show. Let me just say this. I am a biased Gen Xer. Okay. So I came up through the time when we had Sex in the City, we had The Cosby Show. Now, regardless of whether or not you like Bill, The Cosby Show was still a good show. We had Roseanne, I had Family Ties. There were so many good shows. The Facts of Life, um, Punky Brewster, The Wonder Years. We've had Living Single, Girlfriends. Now, granted, I'm a little biased, right? Because I'm a black, so a lot of the shows, had a black focus. But I liked some of my white shows too. Okay, I liked a lot of the white shows actually. I really, really liked Family Ties and The Wonder Years. So when I say these things, when I rattle off these shows, like to me, these were like iconic shows. And of course, what I just listed was not like an exhaustion of the list. Like it wasn't that exhaustion. There are plenty of other shows that I just rattle off some off the top of my head. So when you take on the task of trying to remake a show, okay. So this is what I'm going to say before I keep going into this. These writers that are out here in these streets need to go back to school and get some training or something, okay? because I feel like everybody's trying to remake shows that don't need to be remade. I heard that there's a new Fresh Prince of Bel-Air being remade. Somebody told me that it's going to be streaming on Peacock, and it's not going to be like what we thought it was. I just feel like get some imagination and rewrite your own shows. Write your own shows. Give us something different. We already know our shows back in the 90s and the early 2000s and in the 80s were problematic anyway. We accepted that because we were all problematic. None of us were woke or conscious anyway, or very few of us were. Okay. Leave our shows alone. Now, let's get back to this. I don't think this was all bad. I just think it was mostly bad. So, besides the fact that everyone's fawning over this Michael guy, yes, I know who he is, but I was just like, okay, so the Julie lady is calling out new writers and thinks old characters were relatable. What was I trying to say? Was that I wrote this early in the morning. That's when I got up. So basically, they were just saying that, the old characters, it may have been Samantha Irby, so excuse me, but like these old characters from the Sex in the City, they said that they were relatable. That's what I got from that. I'm like, actually, people wanted to relate to them. I don't know if they were necessarily relatable. I think they were more likable. I think we wanted to see opulence and glam and fashion and wealth with a little bit of um, some of our personality. But let's make this clear. These characters were not relatable. I don't know anybody who's walking down the street in Manolo Blahnik shoes on a regular who's broke, okay, in New York City living that life. Now, I don't live in New Jersey anymore. I used to go into the city. I now live outside of that area. I live further south. I live below the Mason Dixon line. So let me just say this. That's not even like, I don't know anybody who has done that. Like, no. So that is not relatable. Samantha's life was not relatable. Being wealthy, like Charlotte, was not relatable. I'm not saying there aren't some people out there who can't relate to that. But what I am saying is, those lifestyles were not relatable for the vast majority of us. So we tried to find traces of personalities in these women that you could relate to. I'm a Charlotte, I'm a so and so, whatever. But anyway, there was more fawning and I Michael Patrick King. There's a lot of that going on. I just think, why did I write the old version was very orgasmic for Samantha? Oh, this Michael Patrick King guy seems to really actually be into this new writer, Samantha Irby, and like how she's so amazing as a comedian, all sorts of stuff. And to be honest, I'm not so sure I find her funny. I feel like she's like putting on too much, like she's trying too much, actually. I'm like, where is your regular blackety black writer? Is that who she is? Was she in a blackety black flag? So like there was like more fawning over Michael Patrick King. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, and I guess it comes out during this podcast that she says she closely identifies or aligns more like a Shay. So I guess she's non-binary and not a lesbian, not I don't know. So anyway, this is the thing. I think this show and its current instantiation of it is like scared to show how people are wealthy. And I feel like it's okay to show that. Why can't we have a show where we show there are people who are wealthy? Yes, you can invoke some consciousness into it, but I think what is making the actual viewer so irritated with the way these writers did it was like they didn't finesse us into it. They didn't really develop anything. They were like, bam, here it is. So I'm listening to these writers just yammer on in the background, just fawning all over themselves. They're like throwing up over themselves. They're ridiculous. I'm like, please stop. I don't know. But I think the biggest thing is like nowadays, like we've all been through a pandemic. Everybody's sad and depressed. People have lost jobs, gained jobs. I don't know. There's a lot going on. You got parents who are depressed. You've got children who are depressed. You've got a lot going on. And I think the thing is, people do want a little bit of an escape. I don't know if we want to see a whole bunch of depression. Okay. So I don't know. I feel like it's okay for the regular old regular to see people living a life that you could aspire to. Maybe never reach, but aspire to. I don't know. So they did address the Samantha thing. Now, this is the thing. I like the fact that the writers wanted to address the Samantha situation right away, as they should. They should have. I just think they did a really poor job because that character was so beloved and she was so witty and fabulous in every way. So for them, the way they kind of like had her exit stage left, like when you talk about there being almost like, I don't want to call it a death, but it was like a death. Like they really should have leaned in a little bit more to that because Samantha was a very key person. She was very important to the series. So I don't think they did enough. I think they just kind of like had her go off to London and she's mad because Carrie won't like keep her on his apartment. Like it didn't even make sense because if Carrie is married to wealthy bags big, then I'm not saying that she just throws money away, but money wasn't really her issue anyway. So they could have come up with a better storyline as to why Samantha is gone. Like she's not going to be gone because she's not friends with Carrie. Like she's not going to just go off to London because she's mad at Carrie. That's not even like her DNA. So then she ostracizes everyone. Like make it make sense. I just think that the writers could have done more to foster that. That's just my opinion. Okay, so they were right. Go ahead. They were right to address the Samantha situation. I just don't think they did their due diligence enough. They could have leaned in on that a little bit more. The first 1 to 2 episodes, they gave us too much. And I think when you take a show that is so iconic and you try to make everything happen at once, they would have been better off making the first couple episodes maybe an hour and a half or so, or making the season instead of 10 episodes, maybe making it 15 episodes. They needed to walk the dog, and they didn't walk the dog. So what happened was it was like a gut punch to the viewer, and now it's like, well, it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And so what happens is it puts the viewer on their heels, and now they're like, I want no parts of this. Oh, somebody with the comment. I can't even see that Carlos wrong. Samantha did PR for Carrie for free in the series. You're right. So it didn't even make any sense. I'm like, I just feel like what they could have done, they could have done a better job with how they handled that Samantha thing. It didn't make any sense. That's just where I'm at with it. They should have walked that dog. They should have finessed us more in the series. And that way now the viewer can actually be more invested in the actual development of this new instantiation of whatever this is. But they didn't do that. You don't take a character like that. Not only did they jack up Samantha, well, we already know that, Steve is, we don't know what's going on with Steve. But anyway, so when I was listening to this first podcast, I guess it was like a recap of 1 and 2, episodes 1 and 2, I was like, okay, where were they going with this? So they were right to address the Samantha thing head on. I don't think, me personally, um, before I get onto the Brady thing, they did mention one thing, which I do agree with. They said that they tried to address the seasonal friendships, like that loss when you're in your 40s and 50s. And that does happen. It's happened to me now, partly because of some shenanigans of some other people. And when you call it the shenanigans, but also it's just that sometimes things happen. People may have to move away because there's a sick parent. Maybe the spouse gets a job someplace. I don't know. Things happen, right? So I think they're right to address this loss, like when friends are in your lives for a season. I just don't think they did a good job, and I think it was because they rushed everything in the first episode or 2 or 7. Okay, they rushed everything. There was no finessing. I don't think that the selection of writers that they had, either they wanted to do a better job of writing this and couldn't because Michael Patrick King is like into himself. He's a self-licking, do I have that? He's a self-licking ice cream cone. Okay. Or I don't know. It was just like, it was just, let me see if I have that. Do I have that? I don't even have that. I keep saying I'm going to get a self-licking ice cream cone, but I just feel like that they just, okay. So they mentioned the whole Brady thing a couple times. I'm going to be honest. I don't know if that was necessary for all the sets and the dried semen and all of it. That wasn't necessary for me. You can talk about it and all these other things. You can talk about it. But you don't. The way they portrayed him, this bratty kid. Let me tell you something. I wish one of my kids would pull some foolishness like that in my house. First of all, nobody's having some girlfriend or boyfriend spend the night in my house unless they want me like right there next to them like this. Nope, not ready to be a grandma. Nope, nope, nope. My son just turned 17 the other day. I am not ready to be a no, no, all the way no. All right. So Samantha Irby is way too into herself. She is into herself. I mean, like, I feel like when she was on this podcast, she probably had a mirror of herself and was like, I'm so amazing. I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, she's like new to the series and yet she's into herself. She's like a cat that constantly preens. Like, you know how they're always cleaning themselves, they're always into themselves. That's Samantha Irby. We want to talk about this hair thing for a second. Now, as a resident blackity black, I feel like I'm an expert on black hair. And for those of you who don't know this, you will know after I'm finished talking. Black hair, the discussion of it, the talking about it, the touching of it is a whole thing. Okay. Now, black women, this is like a thing. It's one of those little cultural things that when you know, you know. She didn't do a good job talking about or referencing the hair thing. Now, I don't think she had to lean in super hard on it, but when Naya is walking in, I guess I don't say her name was Naya. Naya walks in as a professor and she's talking about, I mean, I'm sorry, and you know, Miranda is in full ding dongery and like, oh, I didn't think you were a professor and blah, blah, blah on your hair. I'm sitting here thinking, like, okay, I don't even understand what that had to do with. I mean, it was like so many microaggressions, and I get it. They wanted to show her as an idiot. But in real life, I mean, like, let me just say this. If you haven't seen any of my other thumbnails or videos before, I've worn my hair in braids. Right now, I'm just wearing it like this. I may decide to wear it in a short little afro thing. And for those of you who don't know, black hair, and we have various textures. If I were to wet my hair right now, it's going to get spirally or like wavy, and then it's going to look like a little afro. Okay. We have various ways of wearing our hair. It's a very sensitive topic because for the longest time, we couldn't wear our hair in this natural hair state. It was considered unprofessional. It was considered a lot of things. So for us, that is something that it's just a triggering thing. I'm going to be honest. Had Miranda said some craziness to me, like I probably would have got her all the way together right then and there. I would have made her feel uncomfortable. See, that's why they had the right person, Naya, because me, I would have been a little bit patty. I would have been all the way patty. Okay. I just don't think they had the right person to really kind of bring that awareness. Like, I don't know, who is this Samantha Irby? So, anyway, the thing with the hair is there's a lot of emotional trauma associated with hair. So, and this is the thing, let me just say this for the record. I do not believe that all the white women in America are just stupid. Now, I do believe that white women in America, they may not know all the nuances of black hair, but they do understand basic, like, I don't know, politeness, courtesy. Like, I refuse to believe that all white women, like, no, absolutely not. I think it's almost insulting. Like, for I don't know. It's just the way it came over. Maybe I live in a bubble. Now there are some ding dong white women out there, like there's some ding dong black people, black women. But I no, we're not gonna do this. Like they made it seem like white women are just like so stupid. They're not. We're gonna cut that out. We're just look. And usually there are people who are somewhat intelligent that can say, hey, look, so how does this work? Like, it's okay to ask. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I was triggered. Samantha Irby, get off of your mirror. Okay. So I want to go. Oh yeah, okay. I did make the point. White women, they try to make it seem like white women are stupid. White women are not stupid. I hate that. And we're gonna talk about this ageism thing. I've got about 5 or 6 minutes before I got to start yelling at my kids for this bus situation. All right, so look, I think they could have handled the ageism thing better. Now, off the top of my head, when I was writing my notes, I was like, you know what they could have done? They had these ladies, they had the girls, though the women, show up to lunch. Okay. They're lunching as they do. You know what they could have easily have done? They could have had a birthday cake or something. They could have been like, happy birthday, and had 2 5s up there. And they were like, oh, you know, and I hope you get 55 more or something lame, right? So you can like reference something and be around it without having to lean in and say you can go that way, without having to lean in like, oh, I'm 55, I'm so old, what do you need? I will get your supplies. Just let me finish this, please. So I'm sitting here like, there's no way we had to lean in that hard in almost every single scene and talk about we're so old. No, no, and no. Go that way, please. Thank you. All right. So then they made this comment about middle-aged women are awkward, and I'm like, no, we're not. Middle-aged women are not awkward. Middle-aged women actually know more about who they are. At least this is from my opinion. These are just my thoughts and my opinions. And me go ahead and put my little banner up because I don't want anybody getting in their feelings. Where was I? These are just opinions. Okay. Look, I do not believe middle-aged women are awkward. I do think they go through a period when they feel a little bit invisible, but I don't think they're awkward. I think most middle-aged women know exactly who they are. Go on that side, please. They know exactly who they are and what they want, or the fact that they want something else. I don't think that middle-aged women are awkward. Do I come off as awkward? I don't think I come off as awkward. I don't think I'm awkward. Are you saying I'm awkward? My daughter just looked at me like, no, I'm not. I'm everything. So now that I'm being trolled by my kids, don't talk to me. So look, they made that comment, and I'm sitting here thinking, like, middle-aged women, by the time you get to like, I'm 45, and I keep saying it for a reason. I don't think we need to be hiding our age like we're always going to be 39 or 29 forever. No, we're not. We're getting older. Just last week, I cut about 5 gray hair in my head because I can't be gray. I cannot be gray. I am not ready to be gray. Middle-aged women are like, wait, we might be dealing with some things, but we're not awkward. I think we know exactly who we are. I think we know what we want most of the time, but we're not awkward. So we're gonna they need to stop with that. They're making it seem like we're like this helpless group of women and men, and like we are de-evolving as intelligent people. That's how they treated Miranda. It's not true. They said it was radical saying their age. No, it's not. We're in 2022. It is not radical admitting your age. It is not. You need to miss me. I just want to say for the record once again, the writers love themselves. They were like, we're amazing. We are the smartest, most amazing people ever. I was like, what is it like to just constantly preen and lick yourself because you are so amazing? Lord Jesus. All right, I'm almost done. Just a few more points. So the Samantha chick who I clearly don't even care for now. This is what this. I want to use the B word. I got my kids here. I'm trying not to cuss so much. This chick says that they. She says that they wanted to actively deal and talk about what it's like being 55 and being middle aged and your body is decaying. Who who says that? I wish they had a call in section or session. I'm sorry. This is the problem. They wouldn't even take me. They're like, nope, that black's got too much mouth. We can't have her going up against Samantha because they're like, Samantha, you're doing too much. You better be 55, and these better be your feelings because I know we don't get down like that. I'm like, who is like to say we're actively decaying at 55? I'm like, well, you're actively decaying then when you're born. It's just a stupid thing, as if like you're practically dead. I don't feel like I'm dead. I feel like I got some juiciness left. I can't take it. And then they were talking about there's no in between. And I was just kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, so they're treating this middle agedness like it's like an albatross. Most of the people I know, 45 and 55, I maybe even throw in 60, are still popping and locking and getting it. They have a little bit more time. Well, I don't because I'm running my kids to their sports, but they've got time to themselves. They're taking care of themselves. They're looking good. They're traveling. They are kicking it and living their best lives. So for this ding-a-ling to sit there to say, well, there's no in between, as if like it's like the walk of perdition. Like we're going straight to hell. This actively decaying body. I'm like, you're actively decaying as soon as you exit the womb. So anyway, I wish they had a call in because I would be the one calling in. All right, so this is the thing. They talk about Big being gone. To be honest, I don't really care. I mean, I thought it was totally fine that he was gone in episode 1. Okay? I just don't like how they constantly had to throw it in our face throughout the season. So we'll just say this. Big is gone. They did that thing. I actually think the only thing wrong with the way he left was her not calling the ambulance. I think that it was totally fine how they did it. I really don't have any issues. Like, I just don't. It's totally fine to me. The one thing I wanted to call out, I wanted to go back to this Samantha Irby chick, the blackity black. Whoever, I don't know, whoever the black writer is, she knows daggone well Black people, now I'm going to even assume white people. Black people do not go up to some randoms eating a french fry like that, eating off somebody else's plate. Like, we're like, hey, this is like a sacred territory. Like, especially if you're a foodie like me, I'm like, don't reach over it with your pandemic hands touching food on my plate. Like, I'm like, who wrote that? That was not, nope. Mm-mm-mm-mm. So anyway, I just want to say this and I'm going to let it go. I think they tried to give us too much too fast. I will try to recap the rest of these other episodes of the Writers Room podcast. I just kind of felt like it was like this, we love Michael Patrick and we love Samantha. It was just like this love fest where everybody had mirrors and they were licking their fur. It was like a self-licking ice cream cone. It was the circle square. It didn't even make any sense how they were just kind of like, we love ourselves. All right. So look, let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe I got it wrong. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Maybe I've gotten it wrong. But all right, I'm gonna get out of here because oh shoot, like I gotta hurry up and get my kids out of here because I gotta get on this bus. Let me know what your thoughts are. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe on the way out. Black opinionated woman out.